Sifu.
Young lady, how are you?
Young lady. You gotta love these guys. They pamper me so much. I love it. I'm like well, actually, I'm their older sister for sure, because I'm older than all of you. I'm older than Robert. He's like my baby brother, Jose for sure, because to me, he's a kid still.
Mm.
And you too. I'm not gonna tell you how old Sifu is, but look at this, no gray hair. I'm so jealous. So
I'm
jealous.
gonna I'm gonna say that I'm old enough to know better.
You're old enough to have gray hair and you still don't have it. Oh my goodness.
Not bad for 104, right?
Not bad for 104. Yeah, you wish. No, you don't. You will, but you will make it to 104, that's for sure.
And beyond,
And
like
be
Woody would say, right?
all right. So thank you so much for also coming making time out of your crazy busy day. And here comes Dr. Andrea. She also is coming from an event. I'm so blessed. Am I not blessed, everyone?
You
Please.
are
Look at all the
blessed.
amazing guest speakers I have here. I'm so lucky. They put so many things aside and they leave current events to speak here. They push off their speaking engagements for later. And here's another one, Dr. Andrea, welcome. I was just saying to Jose, had to give up his event with Susan that he does to be here for one. And then you came in and I'm like, thank you so much for, coming in, and Robert too, who came from the doctors and had to go somewhere else. And in between made time, like, and Sifu, who's crazy busy. And oh my gosh, I'm so blessed. I'm so lucky to have all these amazing people around me.
Don't forget, we're blessed too to be in your presence. So
Oh,
thank you.
you say the right thing all the time. I just love that. You can't get angry at him ever. So there goes that whole brother thing. It has to be harmonious. And then Dr. Andrea is my sister. I should put up my doctor too. Can you hear us? Oh, excellent. Come join us. We're just chatting. No one's really talking. We're going to talk about these. I already introduced these a little bit earlier when I was doing the APL Go vitamins, and we're speaking briefly about these. So we can talk a little about bank because all three of us are in bank. Actually, it was Dr. Andre who brought it to our attention, and Jose, who just left, he also is doing it. So these are the amazing cards that we have. And if you go with these cards, magical things will happen. And I don't mean magic like this. I mean like magical things will happen. You will be able to read people. People love this. Who do people really love? Themselves, right? Their favorite subject is themselves. So you give them these to play with and they're like, oh, what's this? What's this? And however long it takes them, that's how you know already what they are. You don't even have to see the cards. You already know what they are by how long, right? Because
Yeah, especially when they said this is so hard. You're like,
or
thank you, blueprint. No.
or like, exactly, thank you, blueprint. And then it's like, boom, 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 here you go. I'm done. Thank you.
You action.
Action. Oh, I don't know how I feel about these. Oh, thank you,
Mhm.
nurturing. I have some more questions. Of course you do. Here you go, Kay. Oh, are you back to A and K? I should put mine on too, eh?
Oh, I didn't put mine on.
I'll
Right
let
now.
I'll let Dr. Andre or Seafood talk a little bit because people have heard enough of my voice today.
I love what you said about what people love is to talk about them. I'm actually going to change mine to reflect what mine has become. I am a knob. So,
We'll explain it a
you know, a
bit.
lot of people, not only do they want to hear about them, but they also love hearing their name. And for those people who are going to say, no, I don't, it's because they haven't had the chance to change their name. I've known a lot of people who've changed their name because they prefer to hear that. And they've taken that identity as well. So when we consider our identity, I think that's where bank really steps in, because we're all born with the most magical identity, our fingerprints. That it's so unique to us that, and Dr. Andrea can tell you, the authorities can find you based on your fingerprint and your DNA. So now we found another critical thing to find out who we are, and that's your code, right? So I think that's an important aspect that we have to consider.
Also, I would like a seafood to tell us what he does for a living and how.
I just come on your show and that's it.
That's all he does for a living.
That's
That's
all I
it.
do.
And I pay him. And no, I don't. That's not even true. He has 20. Okay, here you are at, you know what? Too bad Jose wasn't here. Here you are looking at three of the busiest people on earth right now. Us three do so many things. It's off the chart. So I've already gone through most of what I do: real estate, publishing, empowered talks, which is this podcast, et cetera, et cetera. Second podcast coming up. I'm going to gloat in that for a minute because don't say anything yet, Sifu, because he's got so many. It's going to drown mine out. I'm going to have a second one. I'm so happy. Okay, that's it. Go ahead, Sifu.
Well, I am very happy for you. Having one is tough. Getting even started on the second one, my God, that's a lot of work that you're putting forth. So for me, it's what I do is I make people better.
Mhm.
That's really what matters to me, is how can I help somebody get better, to think of themselves being worthy of being in this incredible planet that we live in
Mhm.
this country that we're in. I know you're in Canada and we're in the US, but we're really not. We're really in the same world, yet
Mhm.
we're worlds apart. And so
Tell
when
everyone
we
where
can
you're at.
connect, I'm sorry?
Tell everyone where you're at and tell them what
I
they
mean,
do. And if they want to do some martial arts business, he has a huge dojo.
they're not going to come to me
You never know.
because I'll make them work. I will change their lives forever. I
Mhm.
have clients who've been with me for over 25 years. I have clients who I've seen their kids grow up and their kids are now in their 20s and they're my clients.
Mhm.
But
That's the best.
when we consider what I actually do is I facilitate a chance for people to understand how beautiful and important they are in this world. And that's what I am blessed that God has given me these gifts, and for me to share them with other people, that's all I have. So yes, I do have a 10,000 square foot martial arts facility. I started a communication center. I not only in person, but a platform where I have about 25 instructors who are going to be teaching on the platform. I I have a woodworking shop. I love building. I do high-end custom woodworking. I am an executive coach. I help people with their businesses, even people as simple as how to answer the phone so people don't hang up on you when they first reach out to you, right? So many people are like, hello, what's going on? It's like, that's not how you answer the phone. So we have to teach people phone etiquette, entrance etiquette. How do you appear? How do you approach someone? So all of these different things tie into basically what we're talking about today. And one of the reasons that I am part of bank or Codebreaker is because of the most important message, and that's that people matter. And yes, I do have 6 shows. Actually, I have 5. The 6th one's about to launch, right? And the reason I do the shows is exactly for what I said. I'm here to make people feel that they truly belong and their purpose needs to come out and they need to share it with all of us.
Mhm.
That's just a little bit of what I do.
That's a little of what, and so I just wanted you to say that because I know you have to go earlier. And so where can people get a hold of you? I come to me if you can't figure out anything else, I'll hook you up with them. But if they could.
Perfect. Thank you.
Where-
The easiest place, if you're on Facebook, you can go to Facebook, Sifu Raphael G. If you're not on Facebook, I get that and I understand. I'm on LinkedIn. But you can also go to my website, which is the one that we're starting and we're putting together more, speakingprowess.com.
Perfect.
And
If you could put that onto my Facebook page into the chat, that's where people will see it.
perfect, will do.
That'll be best. So,
Thank you.
and Sifu and I are accountability partners. And so we have been chatting. We've been meeting up. We're supposed to meet for 10 minutes, 15, I think. What was our last meeting? Like an hour and a bit? Anyway.
They all have been. They
If
all
if we have time, then this is what happens. If we don't have time, then I don't know what would happen, but so far, we are going to do something together. So that's going to be, stay tuned, but we don't know yet what. So you can't know what yet. So we can't say anything because we don't know. We haven't figured it out yet. And now wait till you hear what Dr. Andrea does. Like, I don't, we could be here all day. Go.
Oh, we're going to make it nice and quick and easy. You know, really what I do is I help people's dreams come true. And when you say, well, you know, how do you do that? You know, do I literally wave a magic wand? Oh, where's my magic wand? I would say yes, because I played, well, I didn't play the fairy godmother. I played the evil stepmother in a play recently where in Cinderella, and somebody gave me a Cinderella wand. And now I do have magical wands that I use actually in my office when I'm with clients, but I had my magical wand pencil pen laying somewhere here, but I don't know what. Oh, here it is. But it seems sometimes like I'm just waving a magical wand, but it's really that I'm connecting people to different people. I'm looking at the big picture of the whole scope of who they are, what their business is, and what they want to achieve for their dream. And then we look and highlight things that they maybe never even thought of or didn't even know to think of. For example, I then look at what's beyond and what's even bigger than what they were already dreaming. And then I look at side things that parallel and supplement their dream. I look at things that can support the foundation of their dream, people, partnerships, sponsorships that can support their dream, and then clients who want to share in the dream, and fans and followers who want to hear more about it and want to know what's happening, including the media. And then I also make sure that they're in their head, they believe that the dream can come true. So I did find my little magic house wand there, my Cinderella's castle. But that's really what it is. And so I mostly do that through the key point of being a publicity and business consultant. Having been in business for over 30 years, and I've worked with some really amazing elite entrepreneurs. I've worked for 2 billionaires, multimillionaires, some really high-end celebrities and influencers. And when you work with those kinds of people, you have to think fast on your feet. You have to know things. You have to be aware of things, you know. And it's funny because sometimes people will say, well, you know, you're not a billionaire, so how can you coach billionaires? And I said, well, oncologists don't have to have cancer to be an expert in cancer. So it's the same thing. It's years of wisdom, years of working with people, helping other people in their businesses and their structures, and helping people get into their head so they can get out of their head so that they can have really magical things happen. And it's really fun. And so I strive to work with a few people a lot rather than work with a lot of people a little. So there are some things that I do that do reach a wider audience, but I really like to focus on those few people and really love on them really well. So when we're talking about bank, if at some point you guys want to, you know, be with the founder, hear the founder speak at your event or something, that's Sherry Tree, and I'm her publicist. So we would love for you to reach out and have her be at your events. We would love for Marianne and Sifu to come and be at your events. I would love to come and be at your events. You know, we all speak and we all share and we all love bank and we all can support it as well. So if you can't afford Sherry, or your venue is such that it's not feasible for Sherry to come, one of us might be able to come in her place. So there you
Or
go.
all three musketeers could come. It doesn't,
Actually, that would be really cool because we all bring a different. Actually, we're all being trained so that we can teach. So we could do different classes. You know, we have the opportunity to do that, and we have other peers that also train. So we could come out and do training. So, and it's really fun to do that too, because then a 4-day training doesn't have to be one person talking the whole time. We can all train and assist and bring different people to your event together. So really great opportunities if you want to learn this. So Well, let's dive into it. You want to do that, Marianne? Is that what we
Yeah,
want to dive in and
let's
talk
do
about?
whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
let's,
open to whatever. We
yeah.
don't really have structure for this one. We might have a little more structure next time, maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
shall
well, let's play with how we use bank in our businesses for our clients. So if you're watching this and you're like, well, I'm not in let's say you're like, oh well, I'm not in real estate, I don't do anything I want to publicize, and I don't want to speak on stage or learn how to do any martial arts, so this isn't for me. Not true. Whatever we're sharing, just think about how it would apply to you, because everything we do applies to every business. And you don't even have to be a business person. You could be a stay-at-home mom, who I still think is a business person, because you run the whole house and everything else.
That's a
Um,
business.
yeah, if you're a babysitter, you're still a business. Okay, you might not have an LLC for it, but that's what you do. And you can learn how to even if let's say you have the lucky advantage to sit around and eat bonbons while you watch Facebook lives all day.
Oh,
You still have to, talk to the people that you're delegating to do tasks to go get you your bonbons, and we can help you do that better.
I love it.
spoken like a professional PR events planner, right?
There are days where I am a professional bonbon eater in
Uh,
front of book
I
live.
wish, I really do
I
wish.
do have my moments in my days where I get to do those things. So
Oh,
I get to live a very varied life. Sifu, let's start with you. You've been quiet for a moment. What are you noticing with your communications class with how bank has been helping you?
Well, for example, I want to say that you need the Harry Potter wand is what you need.
Mm.
Right? But it may be more magical, but it could also be scary. But I know that you would wield it with great power. So considering I'm doing a class right now for parents and children,
mhm.
and it's called leadership and communication. So we're teaching them how to become leaders, and we're also teaching them how to communicate that. But before they even entered the class, they all had to be assessed through bank. So, and on their name tags, they all have to have their code. What's their code? And then what I had them do is go, even though they knew each other, not only did they have to say their names, but then they also had to say something that nobody knew. Nobody in the room knew about them. And what wound up happening is at the end, they said, even though you look different than me, you act a little bit different. Now I know what matters to you because of the code you're wearing. I know what's important to you. So that allowed people to start to associate better with each other because I explained to them, and I also had them do the assessment to understand that even though somebody may not necessarily do it the way you do it, you can still communicate with them. So if you think about it, right now we're all speaking English, but in reality, we're all speaking a different language, and that language is how we show up, what's important to us. And bank is the one that helps us decipher that language. Once we break those codes, there's 24 of them, and we can figure out what's most important to that person. And in using it in my businesses, it's helped me not only help them to get a better experience, but it's helped me to know what is important to them in order for them to get the most out of what I'm helping them with. That's what I've noticed.
I think that's beautiful. I just want to point something up. So Sifu's a knob. So he's a KN and he speaks slowly and very clearly. Dr. Andrea is a NK, so the first two letters being more prominent. And she's very excited all the time. Me, I'm crazy. I'm an NA. So I kind of am all over I spill all over the place. It's like a little bit of this and then I go quiet and then I go this. And so that's just an interesting fact. And so you know, if you've never heard the term bank code and code breaker, you probably have not that much idea of what we're talking about, but I just wanted to point that out. Do you want to say something, Dr. Andrea?
Yeah. So my speech pattern does change depending on my code. So my action used to be extremely high. So I didn't know code 15, 20 years ago. I've only known code 13 years. I've known Sherry 13 years. I probably was an AN at one time. In fact, everybody used to call me the red marketing assassin because I would have things done before they even batted an eye.
Wow.
And then in my life, I started having people around me who would fault me for being an action taker. And I then would limit myself or pull back because I would get ridiculed for that, which was so silly when I think about it nowadays. Because the people that I was, when you work with people who were really high scene, you can at times, now that's not everybody. There's some beautiful, amazing people who make a lot of money, who are super kind, super loving, super amazing. And those are the people I work for now. But in the past, I had attracted people who were very stern and delegators and who kind of were sometimes rude. And while they loved what I accomplished, sometimes if I were seen and other people knew about it, they were offended by it. So it was people who wanted to be seen instead of me. So even though I was getting them what they wanted, it was visible that I got it for them. And so what started happening is then I started attracting people who never wanted anybody to know that I worked for them. So they wanted to white label everything, and then I became invisible. So my name wasn't on anything, or so I've even written a New York Times bestseller for a client. And in my contract, it says I'm not allowed to say the genre of the book, the gender of the person, the name of the person, nothing. I am like not allowed to exist in that ever for my lifetime. And I was okay with it because I did get paid well, but in hindsight, I think it did a disadvantage to them as well as me. Because I could have my word of mouth, because I'm still seen and heard. No matter what people try to do to repress me, I still end up showing up seen and heard. So my A got pushed back. And then I was an NA for a long time. And then recently, I ended a business relationship that I was really felt like my thumb was on me. And it pushed me to action to third. And I'm actually doing things now and shifting my action back up because I realized it doesn't serve me not to get things done like I used to. It may have served them for me to be in this spot, but it didn't serve me. So, we change who we are over different situations and times. And sometimes we change just within where we're at and what we're doing. Like if you're in, my husband's a fireman. So when he's in fireman mode, he still is a blueprint, but his action will happen faster. He kind of quick does a blueprint. Like, is that a major rule? And then there are times where he's like, that rule has to be broken because that rule doesn't apply to this situation. So he'll push it aside because he knows he has to take action, and his knowledge is just kind of right there. There's things that you just have to do. And so that allows you to be different. I'm going to share another little story of when your action might get moved. Those who know me, no, I'm known as the lady in red. I've been wearing red since 2010, 2011, 100%. So I wear red every day, unless a client specifically has a reason why they don't want me in red. And then I don't always take those clients because why don't they want me in red? Why can't I show up? Now, if it's reasonable, like if I'm doing pictures and they want me in black for a certain reason and I really want the job, yeah, I'll do it. But I was working with someone and they said, do not wear red to this event. Now, I wasn't taking pictures to this event. They just wanted me to come to the event, but they said, do not wear red. You show up too big, you show up too bright, and I don't want that. So, and it's because you wear red that that happens. And I said, well, I don't think it's my clothing that makes a difference. But if you want me to wear black, I will wear black. So I wore black dress, black shoes. I didn't even wear red lipstick. Okay. I wore brown lipstick. So that way I would show up. And I purposely sat on the side, was a wallflower, was quiet, didn't speak first, didn't speak till I was spoken to. I did all the things that like a little good girl would do, but at a piece of it. And at the end of the day, we were leaving the event and the person said, you can wear red now. And I said, why? And they said, it didn't make any difference. You still show up, even when you're on the sidelines. He noticed people would see me and come over and talk to me.
Yes.
You just radiate your
energy. Noticed there.
Yeah.
He probably didn't know that. He probably didn't know that you were wearing red underclothing.
I was. Spanx only comes in black, but they do have a red tag. It must have been that red tag. But yeah, it's just really funny because, you know, who you are and how you show up, you know, you just can, sometimes it just shines through. So even if you're not in action, you show up as action. And so, but my N and K are also really, really high. And what we've learned through the bank training is eventually you get to a point where you're BANK or whatever order that they're in are also high. You have the intelligence of those, even though you may not choose to operate in all of those that high. What have you guys noticed that yours have changed? For me, my bank has gone from a 9 to a 13, and that was 4 weeks ago. I probably should take it again because I feel like it's even higher now.
I feel like I should take mine over because my blueprint was a 9 and my knowledge is a 13, and then action was 21 and nurturing is 24. I think my nurturing and action are exactly the same, and I fluctuate between the two. I find that I go right into action immediately when I'm working because everything is fast. Let's do it now. I have 2 reasons for that. One, because I want it done now. That's how I want things done. So I try to do them that way for myself and for others if I can. I'm not a procrastinator. That is not my issue at all. I have the opposite. I want to say yes to too many things. And my nurturing comes out, of course, if I'm going to go onto a real estate negotiation, I'm bringing my A along, right? And of course, when I'm going to teach a meditation class, I'm going to go into N and I'm going to do some healing and energy and this and that and coaching. I think usually in coaching, I'm in N unless there needs to be some A brought out. But sometimes I'll do an A and I don't really hear myself. And I don't really know what the other people have heard until one day in class. What I was not doing anything. I don't even know if you guys were there. And I was actually, we were in groups and I was saying what the group did. And I said, oh, and we, actually, I think Dr. Andrea, you were there because I remember you saying, yes, we have to first and foremost compromise. And that was the first word I came out of my mouth. And I said, yep, we decided we needed to compromise. Or maybe it wasn't you. I don't know who it was. And compromise and us and we and and then this lady came along who's I think a B, and it like B is her first letter, prominent letter, and she's like, oh. In fact, I think she was a BN because the facilitator said, she goes, oh, I think your N is kicking in, because the facilitator said that was excellent. That's a really good, whatever. And she said, well, wait a minute, because we were talking about blueprints. And she said, wait a minute, I didn't hear anything about me in there. All I heard was you. And I'm thinking, did I say I? Did I not say we? Like, I'm like, right away, I'm like, what'd I say? And she was like, yeah, I don't know anything. I'll like, wow. Oh, great. Now we have fire alarm. I'll stop talking for a minute. You guys.
I mean, I hate to take over the.
You must have a really good sound system on your thing, because it came through like a really loud cricket. Cricket, like that. I was like, it didn't even sound like hardly anything. So you must have your sound suppressor on, because I'm like, ooh, that was really good that it wasn't that super loud. Well, if you need to take care of yourself, please take care of yourself, and we'll help you do what you need to do. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. What was I going to share? Seafood, did you want to share about yours changing or going up? Because we can't, Marianne is keeping hers on mute for a second. And then
Yep.
I'm going to go off camera, but I'm still listening. I'm still here.
Okay, so mine changed 3 times since I joined bank. And you both probably saw me at the CLA Global Summit. And you probably saw my A lot. But in reality, it all shifts, like you've been talking about, Dr. Andrea. So I've shifted 3 times, and now it's knowledge, nurturing, action, and blueprint. But the funny thing is that knowledge and nurturing are tied. They're at 24. The action is not far behind. It's at 23. And the blueprint is at, you got it, 21. So they're very, very close. And for me, it's very easy for me to fluctuate from one to the other, because it's situational too, right? If you consider it. So we can act a certain way based on where we are, who we're with, and what our end game is. So for me, it's always about showing up. I always like showing up prepared, well-dressed, and always looking to have a great time, because life is extremely short. So consider everything that bank can help you understand about you. What is it that triggers you? Go ahead,
So
you're back.
I'm gonna have to go. I made you guys co-hosts. If you need to end it, like say a few more words and end. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go because it's like everyone's going crazy.
All right, why don't you go ahead and end it? And I'm okay with that. Dr. Andrea?
Yeah,
Okay,
whatever you need to do. Yeah, if you need to end it, or if you just want us to talk, and then
if you
whatever.
guys could just give it a nice little ending, that'd be awesome. You could end it now if you want, or later. I have to go. This is crazy.
We just go. We want you to take care of yourself, and
Yep.
you can always just have nothing happening, or make me co-host, and I can end it if you need me to.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
There we go.
Dr. Andrea co-host.
I did. I made you both co-hosts.
Oh, look at
Perfect.
that.
So this is what friends do in an emergency. So
Mhm. Absolutely.
so
Stay safe, Marianne.
yeah. So funny things is often we need to do things at different times. I'm actually speaking on another webinar today, and I'm in a networking thing right now. I told them, and I said, I will read what you guys share so I can see what you say, because I fortunately have learned how to do this in media. You have to sometimes read things that have nothing to do with what you're talking about. And so I'm able to do that and see, because you just look and hear, and it's like you're focused on this thing, and then you quick read that so you know what's going on, and then you can continue over here. But also in this world is, we have to be able to be in action mode. This is where Sifu and I do best right now, because under pressure we can take action. So
yeah.
she's under pressure. She needs to get out of her building because then alarm's going off. And yet she has a life that she cares about. So this is a way for us to take care of her, make this happen. And then it shows you. So when we're under pressure, that's our third number, or third number. Our third letter. So for those of you who are trying to learn more about this, what that means is that stress doesn't have to be negative stress. It could be a positive stress. Like, well, today I have a positive stress. I have two things that are really cool happening at the same time. So that means I have to be on my A game, which also means my action game. And so then you're more aware because you have more things going on and they're positive things. See about you, when does your A really show up?
Definitely when I go to events, as you can remember. So for me, my I'm extremely calm unless I need to take action, unless I need to, for example, if I'm being attacked, I cannot be anything but an A, right? But it depends on the type of attack, right? So earlier today, I talked about one of my shows. And by the way, everybody who does not know this, Dr. Andrea and I, we have a show to get together. It's called Business Prowess, where we talk all about business. And it's an amazing show. And we have one tomorrow. So join us there too. And so this morning I talked about how do we handle a problem? And I talked about the three ways that we can handle a problem. If you consider a puzzle, right? So think of a problem as a puzzle. What part is either missing or what part has to be taken out in order for the puzzle to come together, to either be fixed? And then the other one I talked, and this is really quick, an obstacle. So an obstacle, sometimes when you're going down the road, you know, do you go over it? Do you go under it? Do you go around it? Is a yield sign. So an obstacle, or do you destroy it? You take out, you know, your gun, shoot it, your hammer, whatever it is. And an obstacle can be taken care of and it's over and you're done with it. And that's one way to handle a problem. But is there after effects? And then the other one, if you consider, so we have a puzzle and then we have an obstacle, but then what happens if it's entanglement? If things get entangled, think of a knot, right? A knot that's hard to take apart. In order for us to be able to take a knot apart, we have to slow it down. We have to take a look. How was it tied to begin with? And then, so sometimes the end goal is to get it unknotted, but we have to look at the beginning end part of it and understand that what went first. And then we have to reverse engineer it in order for it to come through. So that's how we can learn to solve problems. But also that's the different hats you have to decide on putting on. Are you an A at this point? And that's probably an obstacle. I'm going to knock it out, right? That's somebody attacking me physically. That's the problem that's in front of me. Or is it somebody just screaming at me? Because I'm not going to hit them if they're screaming for some reason. I'm going to find out what's going on here. What's the puzzle all about? What are they yelling about? And then if it's an entanglement, what if there's more people involved? Maybe I need help. So help in all different areas. So we have to put on different hats according to the situation. And I hope that helped answer your question as to how does my A show up? You may be muted.
Yeah, I was hesitating because I was thinking at the same time. When there so I only gave a positive stress, so let me give a negative stressor. So if I have actually a negative stress as always worked really well for me. And I think that's because I grew up in a household where when my dad is loving, he's super, super loving. And when he's not, he's not. And so there were those things that you knew that by the tone of his voice or a look in his eye or on the third whistle, if you weren't home, you know, you're in hot water. And so when you live knowing that you're going to trigger, you know, somebody's, you know, somebody being angry or mad or get in trouble or get spanked or, you know, be grounded or, you know, put in your, you know, all the things that can come with that. you become sharp, you become at attention. And it's kind of a difference than, yes, everybody has those parameters, but some people, those parameters are different. So I had friends, and if I were at their house and they got in trouble, their parents were like, now, stop it. And you have to sit on the couch and color in a book for 5 minutes. And I was like, I want to be punished like that, like I was like,
Right.
space me, guy. I want to just sit there and color, so mine weren't that light or easy. And so I learned I needed to act very, very quickly, and I needed to people please sometimes to make that happen. So that trained me, growing up, that trained me to handle emergencies quickly, emergency response, and so then I went into law enforcement, where I have to think, on my feet at that time. I don't work in law enforcement anymore. And I worked in corrections, and then I was trained as a police officer. I was certified as a police officer, but I was a 911 dispatcher. But you have to be quick on your feet, and you do everything from give CPR instructions, and then I did some first responding, and then just in my regular life, we were on vacation, and guy collapsed in a bathroom, and I did CPR on him, and I've done Heimlich maneuver people at restaurants, so when things on planes all the time, I'm the first one to get up, just because that's what we can do and are able to do. That's when A really works for me, is when there's, scary pressure. Something negative could happen if you don't go into moving. However, it doesn't mean that you forget your other things. So I think sometimes people don't realize that it's not only action. My mind is still filtering what's the knowledge, what are the roles, is this going to get me in trouble? Is this going to kill them? Is this going to help them live? What's going to happen or not happen? It's there's that opportunity to be able to do that, and all your other things still come into play. They just take backstage. And yeah, I don't know, I find it really interesting. What else would you like to share that we can share for Marianne and all of her listeners today?
Well, one of the most important thing is I think that's probably helping all of us who are training in this, and it's understanding first, right? In the past, a lot of people, we judged without understanding. And now if we can understand what somebody's code is, or maybe we can read their code and then try to figure out why are they doing this? Why are they acting like this? So that's definitely helped me with all my clients, because now even if they haven't taken the code, because maybe they didn't want to, but that already gives me an idea of who they are. And it allows me to work with them a little bit better, because I know how they're showing up. So it allows us to understand people better. So I think that the reason I love it so much is because when you consider what you and I do, our goal is to help people be better. So how do we do that without thinking of the people first? So we have to think of people matter. And that's what Code Bank stands for, people matter. And that to me speaks so much volumes. And it doesn't matter if you're an A person, if you're a celebrity, because one of the things that really matters is when a celebrity badmouths their audience, or they go off on somebody who wants to take their picture. And I've seen it personally. I've seen a celebrity ram down somebody's throat because they asked for a picture or an autograph. And what I said to myself at the time is like, you should be thankful for that person, because without them, you would be nothing. You'd be working at a restaurant serving tables or doing whatever. So we have to consider, no matter what level of our lives we're at, that people do matter, no matter where you are. If somebody is looking for a handout, do we look down on them because maybe they're at a low point in their life and we're at a high point. Why are we looking down at them? Because the tables can change very quickly. I mean, it reminds me of that movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy, how quickly that changed. Right? That was a great movie, by the way. And if you haven't seen it, and it's an old movie, I may be dating myself, but that's a great movie, Trading Places, because you're trading places with somebody who has wealth to somebody who had none. And it can actually happen like that. And I've been in the presence of people who've lost millions of dollars like that. And 2008 definitely showed that. I mean, a lot of people were taking their own lives because they didn't know how to deal with the fact of, now I'm broke. I have nothing. Meanwhile, I have millions. And today, now I have zero. And it's a tough pill to swallow. But if you can make people matter first, no matter what life throws at you, you will understand that you are worthy no matter where you are. Right?
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful sentiment. It is when you mention waiting tables, it's funny because I have had clients and friends who wait tables who make excellent income, make
Oh, yeah.
excellent money. Some of them do it because they just really like people so much and they love the flexibility that they can make a couple $100s for a couple hours and then be done. And then they can work the next day or not work the next day or give their shift to somebody or take one or do whatever, and my daughter, she's a teacher. So she's an English teacher, but in the summer, she wants to have something to do, but she wants something that's flexible and easy, doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, actually it's not easy, but it's easy as far as your schedule.
Mm.
But it's not easy. If you're good, you memorize people's meals and foods, you remember things, you have a big table, you can get it all, you're fast, you're moving, the people who take action, I think, are usually the best waiters and waitresses. And it's funny because a lot of times I'll hear people say things about food service and I'm like, gosh, I know some really reputable people who had really phenomenal jobs in corporate who now love being a hostess or serving, or because it's fun. They enjoy the people, and it's shorter hours. And it is kind of funny. And it is also funny, I recently shifted things on my LinkedIn to say open to work, because I'm open to being on some boards as a board member. I've had people ask me about it before, and at the time I was too busy, but I'm not too busy now. I've scaled my business in such a way that I have more time, and I wouldn't mind serving on some boards and so forth, where I get to give input and my wisdom, but it's not a lot of my time daily that I have to be in something. And then I'm open to doing some consulting for other companies or corporations, remotely or sometimes temporarily. And I had some people I mean, now we're talking about, there's how many billions of people in the world, and I think 3 people said to me, you can't get work. And I'm like, well, it's not that I can't get work. It's that other people, I might be interested. There's opportunities I turn down all the time. I just turned down a job offer. But there's other jobs that might be available to me that are short term or fun, or maybe they're long term and they're just really, really fun that I've never done. I'm totally open to seeing what's there. We don't always know what we don't know. So,
Yeah,
and I don't,
absolutely.
and I'm aware that there are other positions and jobs that I would love. And it just opens me up for a different opportunity. And so I want people to know I'm open to those.
I want to thank you for bringing up the waiter. I didn't mean to demean anyone and
I don't
anybody
think
who is a
you
waiter.
did.
No, no,
I
but
didn't.
I'm glad that we clarified that, because anybody who is a waiter or waitress, it's not an easy thing. It's not. Well, I've been known to be an amazing tipper, and people usually when I go to a restaurant, they know my name. When I go to certain restaurants, if I even haven't been there in 6, 7 months, as soon as I walk in, they're like, "Oh, Rafael, come on in." And I will get amazing service because they know I value them, right? And I was just at a restaurant. I took my sister who came in from Florida, and I said, hey, let's go to this Colombian restaurant. She goes, great, let's go. As soon as I walk in, they say hi to me. They sit us down, best service. And what she realized is she said, when was the last time you were here? I said, about 8 months ago. She goes, but they treat you like, I said, and I'm going to tell you something about these guys. They've been here since day one.
Mm,
And that restaurant has been around for like 20 somewhat years. And all the waiters and waitresses are still there. And I got to tell you, this particular restaurant, I believe that the waiters and waitresses are the ones that are driving the nice cars that are parked in the lot, because they get tipped so well, not just from me, but I see how other people treat them because of the way they show up as a waiter. It's not an inconvenience. Have you ever been to a restaurant and the waiter's like, and then they never show up? They never come back to, do you need more water? Do you need anything? And so we got to consider is wherever job you do have, you have to be the best at it. And it's very interesting when we talk about waiters, that's one job I've never had. And my fiance always says to me, let's play a game. And I said, what game do you want to play? She goes, let's play a game of what job you haven't had. So she goes and lists all the different things I've done in my life. But I got to let her know I've never been a waiter or a busboy. I've never worked in a restaurant except in the kitchen, right? So I've always made food for other people. I've always cooked. I've done things of that nature. And when you consider what I said about a celebrity going back to being a waiter, because to them, they've forgotten where they came from sometimes.
Hi, guys.
And that's something that we have to remember our starting point so we can get to our end point in a better way. Marianne, you are back.
You know what? It's not a fire, but so they turned off our air conditioners and water and stuff, and I don't know, they did something in the room, and I guess it filled up with some sort of air that didn't agree with the fire thing, but we don't have a fire, but it was ringing
Well,
again
that's good.
2 seconds ago, so I hope it doesn't anymore. Thank you all so much. This is what friends are for.
That's
And
right.
amazing. So I don't know what was I saying when I was in the middle? Oh yeah. So that girl had misinterpreted what I said completely. Now, whether it was because she was having a bad day, because the instructor said to her, she goes, your nurturing is kicking in and you're being like super sensitive, because she didn't say anything like that. Like it was just kind of like that. And I'm like, yeah, but how many times has that happened to us where people misinterpret what we say and it's not
All
our
the time.
and it happens on a daily basis, and I thought I didn't want her to feel hurt. I wasn't anywhere close to that intention. I was just relaying what the group was doing, and I used as many we's as I could. So I'm like, where'd you hear the I?
Wee.
At home, did you just have an argument with someone or get super sensitive about something, where there was an I and a this and a that? So anyways, that was like an interesting point of view, and it kind of I don't want to say woke me up, like I didn't know that people misinterpret things sometimes. I know that, but it was like, wow, I wasn't anywhere close to that. Like you're in New York and I'm over here in California, and I don't understand how you thought that I said I'm in New York. You know what I mean? Like it was funny. And anyway, so I did end up, so my goal, so I'm a lot of this and I'm a lot of this, but I'm not a lot of this. And my goal is to get more of this. I don't know how much of this I'm going to be, because, there's a lot of things that are, that are me here. Like I like stability. I don't necessarily like a lot of structure. I hate systems. I'm not a big planner, but I do have to plan. Like I have to plan the summits, right? So I have to do some planning. predictability is not a terrible thing. You know what? I'm just going to revert for a minute to dating. Some predictability would be okay. Hey, guys out there. Responsibility. I love when people take responsibility. I do it as often as I notice it. If I don't notice it, then, smack me out and tell me. And don't smack me out, just tell me. Duty, no. Rules, no. Credentials, I like some credentials. It's okay. Titles, whatever. Just some tradition, but not much. I'm not a big tradition person, but go ahead, say it.
Oh, I was just going to sing Tradition from Fiddler on the Roof.
And this one too, like there's more and more, and I think I'm being more and more. So I actually had a really hard time with these two. And so I have a client that's this, and for the longest time, I thought he was just stringing me along. I thought he's never going to give me a listing. Like I don't know what's wrong with him, whatever. It's all his fault, right? And he gave me one, then he gave me another and another and another. And I'm like, wow, I never would have thought had I not shown some tiny bit of patience, which is not my strength. However, I spent an hour and a half with this kind of person. This is my hardest one. This is my 9%. Okay, that's why I think it's more. Hour and a half on the phone with him, and he's my 9%. Oh my God, that's so funny. 9% and 9 properties he wants me to sell for him, like over the course of time, not today.
Numbers are magical, right?
Right? And I'm like, wow, an hour and a half with a person asking me that many questions, I would have killed myself.
I have to go. I have a client. So I want to thank you for allowing me to be here today. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for showing.
Ladies, the stage is all yours. It has been the whole time.
Thank you. See you in the morning.
Yes,
So-
see you tomorrow.
And so I managed to make a deal with this person and I got a listing. So that's new for me to be able to understand them and play with them on their
Yeah.
terms, not mine, right?
Yeah.
So, but sometimes I go into this and I don't think I'm fully aware of what I'm saying. And I think sometimes I say it so fast, like I react so fast. I sign up for some classes or whatever fast. I do things fast. I spend money fast, probably faster than I should, like some stuff would be okay to tone down a bit.
That's one thing I'm very action with. I either want it or I don't want it, and I know instantly. And it's very rare that I ask questions. Very rare, unless I'm just not even clear what I don't even know what you're trying to sell me here. I don't know what it is. Then I might have questions. So as a buyer, I'm very fast action, super fast.
Me too.
But other things, yeah, I'll ask questions about.
And
It
so-
is funny when you talked about my husband is so high B for Blueprint. And so my daughter, I am very aware of that now. And so now I'm trying to be very mindful of the fact that he's just being himself. And when he tells a story, we all kind of giggle when he tells a story, because his stories, he'll often tell a story and then he'll just done. And we're like, oh, that's a story? Because we were like waiting for this point, and there was like no point that happened, or whatever. And so his structure of storytelling is different than somebody who's like an action or a nurturer, where they're the way they tell a story can even be different. And so it's very, very funny. And my kids said, oh yeah, somebody was talking about personality or something, and kids go, yeah, dad's a blueprint and mom is not. So she'll tell him probably 3 times. So what's the point of the story?
Yeah.
But I do need to know where because he'll tell me a lot of knowledge. Well, action and knowledge he flips between when he's and he'll tell. So when he tells a story, he tells so much what the rules are, who everybody is, and that's part of his blueprint. It's not the knowledge part, it's the blueprint that he needs to give you the structure of how the entire story goes. Oh, for example, if I'm telling him a story, if I said to him right now, oh my gosh, I was on this webinar today with my friends, and she said, and he'll say, who's she? And I'm like, the girl on the webinar. And then he said, and he's like, oh, I still don't know who she is. And I'm like, Reverend Dr. Marianne. And he's like, well, I don't know her. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So it doesn't matter who she was. You don't need to know who she was because you don't even know who you don't need to know the she. And then if I do tell him, and if I say Marianne and Sifu, and then tomorrow I say Marianne and Sifu, he won't remember that it was Marianne and Sifu from the day before anyway. So what's the point that I said these people's names?
See, those are the kinds of questions that used to drive me up a wall going, I don't understand why you're asking me that. Like, is there a reason? Because you don't know her, so why are you asking? And
yeah, so I just say Marianne and then go on. And I'm like, that was not helpful to the story.
yeah, but that's funny because someone does that with me a lot too. And I'm like, why are you asking? Like, you don't know these people, but okay, I'll tell you if you want. And
Yeah.
why don't you want to tell me? And I go, I do. I just think it's funny that you would ask me when, because if I thought they knew the person, I would say Dr. Andrea from bank and Sifu Raphael from bank. Like that's where I, or, connected.
Yeah, all the places. Yeah.
So many places we're all together for now, but like so funny.
So
So-
funny, isn't it? Cracks me up. Cracks me up. But it's a lot, it makes it a lot of fun because now I'm aware that I do that. And so when my kids said I interrupt him and say, what's the point? I know I feel kind of bad, but at the same time, I need to remind him. I don't need to remind him. I need to let him just be who he is and respect that. But if it's me and him together, I also need to remind him if you're telling me a story and you want me to hear the story, then you got to remember who's the person listening, talk to me the way, because then otherwise I'm just going to drown out, and I wouldn't say that to other people, but it is my husband. So
yeah, it's funny because I've taken a lot of education courses and so have you, and obviously Sifu too has, done his share. And there's words that I've heard that, like saying the word I want. I never thought that was a controlling sentence, but when you think about it, it kind of is. Oh, I want you to listen to me. Well, yeah, that's kind of a little bit, I want you to listen to me. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to hear what I have to say. And I'm like, yeah, but it's kind of normal, to chat like that. Like that, I never thought of that as being anything. I don't think I've ever been insulted with someone saying that. So I didn't
me
think
neither.
insulting anyone either, right? But
I think it's our high AN. Like we know to filter that it just means that you're trying to tell us something and that you're trying to get our attention. So
yeah,
get
like
our,
it's not, it doesn't mean anything. There's no attachments to it, no nothing. And it's funny. And there was a couple other phrases and I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty intense. And
so let me ask you this. So I was thinking for NAs, that we don't, or even Ks, I have found that none of them seem to mind being interrupted, especially ends, because we'll just get back to it. Like
yeah.
it'll just circle around again. I don't mind. I don't mind getting interrupted. It'll just come around again.
As a general, as a rule of interruption, I don't really care. You can interrupt me 78,000 times if you want. However, my problem is that I'm on a roll and I want to tell you the story. And if you interrupt me, I'm going to forget. And so that part bothers me. So it bothers me because of that, because then I'm like, oh, now I got to think of what I was saying and I can't remember. And now I've lost, and then I'll forget. And then we'll go on and then I'll end up interrupting that person because, oh, I just remembered. And now I got to tell you what I remembered. Right. So it gets crazy. Like, I know it's nuts though. Like, you got to be careful of everyone, people get offended and this and that, and you got to talk. It's hard. Even when you do like that with that lady, she was obviously having an extremely sensitive day. And I have those sometimes too, where I'm like, is that what she meant? Is that what he meant? Why did he say that to me? What did I do? Okay, I don't have so many of those days anymore, but I did especially as a teenager. Oh my gosh, it was endless. Nothing was ever right. I don't think I did anything right. And now it's like, hopefully I didn't.
Yeah. That's one of the things that's been really great about all the neuroscience stuff that I do is the more I release, the more, like years ago, if I just tried out to be in a play and I didn't get a part years ago, I would have been bothered, upset, thought something was wrong with me, but I've also directed some, and I get it that like sometimes it's just not the right fit. If the guy's too young, you can't, it just doesn't work, or it just doesn't fit as good, or if people are the same height, you can't, if you have a cast of 6 and they're all the women are 5'5", well, unless they're all identical sisters or twins or triplets, you need some variety in the characters, you need that. Just it can be so many things that I don't take it personal anymore. Where so it was funny because I had some of my friends say, "Oh, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And even for me, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I'm like, yeah, and it's kind of weird because I'm like, well, what do I feel? I used to have like the story of like why I didn't get it, or like made up something, and now I'm like, now I don't have those stories, and so I'm like, well, what do I fill up that space with? Because I don't have a story now. Because now the story is simple. I tried out. The characters weren't the right fit for what that person was looking for, and I don't think it has anything to do with my talent either. So maybe I'm being egotistical, but uh, I tend to be a really, really good actor. I mean, I got 3 excellences in acting last year. In fact, I was shocked at the awards that I received. I was like, I got 2 awards of excellence for the same play. So it can't be that all of a sudden I sucked or something, but it could be that the people were even better, and that's okay too.
But you know what? I love what you just said. I love the way you said it. It's like, oh, I used to have a story. Now I'm like, am I okay? Yeah, okay. That's all I got. I got nothing to attach to this story. And now what do I do with that space? Exactly. It's like sometimes I feel like I should be offended. And someone would say to me, oh gosh, people will do that. Like, oh, didn't you get offended when he said that? And I'm like, no. How come? I go, because it's not my stuff. I'm gonna say it, okay?
Stuff.
Not my
I
shit.
speaking of stuff, I have stuff. I have to go. I have to speak on that other webinar.
Yes, you do. I was gonna say, make sure you don't. Okay, yeah, there it is.
Cool.
So
All right.
that brings us all to an end. Thank you everyone for staying with us today. It was wonderful. And you
I
know
put
what?
my contact information in the Facebook page. Dr. Andre Adams Miller, the Red Carpet Connection, neuroscientist, PR consultant.
Or you can connect with me and I will connect you to her.
Wow.
Breezy
Yeah.
Perch. Thank
Yeah.
you for joining us. Thank you for your patience. Andrea, thank you so much for helping me with this. Dr. Andrea.
And I hope you get your air conditioning soon.
Yeah, that's coming back any minute. That's probably why it was going, because they were working on it. But anyways, thank you so much and have a great day, everyone.